Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
I have a family of 4. My husband, my 2 kids, and I. We have a decent life. We are not so wealthy, but we are very comfortable. My husband was always happy and excited. It was as if he owned the world and nothing could bring him down. I know that he made a personal decision because he has had his fair share of challenges. It baffled me how he would handle difficult situations without being fazed by them. When I was panicky and anxious, he was always calm and collected. He would not let anything bother him. It was like a supernatural gift that he had. I remember once I was upset with him because he wasn't concerned about something that happened. Instead, he was so calm, like he didn't recognize that we had a situation to handle. When I confronted him about it, he asked me if I preferred that he was as scared as I was and then would not be able to handle it. He told me that I couldn't be in control of a situation if I were worried about it because I would be letting that situation control me. That was when I understood his behavior. You would be frustrated if you tried to get him to express any negative emotion. He was always present and aware of his surroundings. He loved his kids and would do anything for them. I feel so blessed to have the best husband in the world. Now that I have given you the background story, we can get into its meat. Something seems to be off with him. I noticed that he had been cranky and very irritable for a month now. He isn't as cheerful as he used to be, which was so unlike him. If you managed to be in a room with him, he would crack you up. He loved making everyone happy. This is why seeing him not be himself for the past month is very concerning for me. He tried to hide the fact that he wasn't okay as much as he could, but I knew something was wrong. I tried to get him to speak to me, but he assured me that he was good and everything was fine. I wasn't convinced at all, but I let things be. I was worried for him, but there was not much I could do if I didn't know the problem. He wasn't usually secretive, so it's all so new to me. We told each other everything, even when we had made mistakes that we were ashamed of. This time, it's different, and I need to find out why as soon as possible. I want to help him, but he is not letting me. I need help helping him. I guess whatever was going on with him is fixed now because he seems happier. I still found it strange that he didn't speak to me about it. He told me to pack my things for a week because we were going on a vacation. When we were younger and just started dating, he was spontaneous and liked to give me so many surprises. However, since we had kids, things became more serious and we couldn't afford to do certain things anymore. I asked why we were going on vacation all of a sudden, since we hadn't planned to do that this year. Whenever we went on vacation, we went with our kids, but it was just him and me this time. I decided to stop overthinking it and enjoy myself. I still have my suspicions, but we will see how things go. I am actually excited though, because we'll have some private time without the kids. Perfect time to rekindle some young love. Don't mind me, we're not that old. I'm 28 and Ralph, just calling him that for privacy's sake, is 30. Our vacation is in Virginia, so we took a road trip from Maryland. I can't wait for the next few days. It's been a long year already, and we need to unwind. I loved it when Ralph wore casual clothes. It reminded me of the first time I saw him. It was at a beach party in college. He wore a vintage shirt and left it open, showing his perfect abs. When I saw him, I thought he was just showing off because he knew he looked good. And now he even looks better because he has been taking his exercises very seriously. We rested a while after we arrived and went for dinner. There was no way we were staying indoors, though Ralph said he wanted to rest a bit. I knew that it was a ploy to get me to stay in. He was surprisingly an introvert. It was a shock to me when we first met because he looked like someone who was a social butterfly. It was funny that he was so shy. The first time he spoke to me, I thought it was so cute. I had waited for him for a month to talk to me. I made the first move, and we had a great conversation, but I wanted him to initiate the second one. It took him a month. His best friend always teased him about it because he had planned to speak to me, but he lost his composure each time I was around him. Back to my story. We went out for dinner and walked around the beach. It was our thing to visit the beach at night. We would just sit and let the breeze do its thing. At those times, we had the most intimate conversations. The rest of the vacation was beyond my imagination. Ralph really overdid himself. He had planned everything, and I felt so special. I asked him why he was pampering me, and he said he didn't need an excuse to pamper his wife. Well, that's true. He wouldn't even let me pay for anything. Now I am wondering what I could do for him. I'll think of something unique that he wouldn't see coming. I'll make him feel special and reciprocate all that he did for me since we went on vacation. I'm telling you, I fell in love with him all over again. I'm so hooked, there is no going back. I already knew this, but this was a massive reminder for me. I thought to myself about what I did to deserve this man in my life a lot of times. He took care of me and only had eyes for me. He was such a great father to our two adorable kids. When girls tried to flirt with him, which happened more times than I can count, it didn't annoy me or make me jealous. Instead, I was proud because it just meant that he was too fine, but he was all mine. Usually, after someone flirted with him, he would do something to reassure me, even though I didn't need it. He would pull me in for a hug and kiss my forehead at those times. It always made me feel safe and loved. It's a weird thing, I know, but I love it so much. We're going back home tomorrow. I miss my kids so much. They are with their grandma, my husband's mom. We spoke to them every day, morning and evening. My little munchkins. I have two boys. One is 5 and the other is 2 years old. You guys, I told you something was off. When I got home, I saw that half of the things in my house were gone. My mother-in-law was at ours because she had brought my kids back. I thought we were robbed, so I asked my mother-in-law why she didn't tell us that someone had broken into our house. She seemed confused and acted like she was trying to understand me. I asked her why my house was empty. She pointed at my husband and said he asked her to sell the things. She didn't know that I wasn't aware. If not, she wouldn't have gone ahead to sell them. I looked at my husband, trying to get an explanation, and he burst out into tears. He was crying like a baby. Every anger I felt dissipated. I was more concerned now than angry. We could buy new things if we had to. My heart started to ache. He would not stop crying and apologizing to me. He said that he had failed me. I still didn't get what he meant, so I told him that he needed to be more precise so I could understand. My husband has been struggling financially. His business got swindled around the time he started acting weird a few months ago. He said that he felt embarrassed and he didn't want to get me worried unnecessarily. I thought that they would be able to break even, but the company kept sinking. It was getting to him, so he decided to enjoy himself with me. He thought it would be the last vacation for a while, so he wanted to go all out. It was also an opportunity to sell some things in the house. He didn't tell her the real reason he wanted to sell. Mother-in-law was as surprised as I was. I told her that he wanted to change them, but he wanted it to be a surprise. I had so many questions. I thought Ralph trusted me enough to let me know when things were going wrong. We were married not only for joyful times, we were supposed to help each other in challenging times as well. He said that he really wanted to give me a treat because it made him happy to do so, and he knew that if he told me the whole truth, I would let him. Indeed, I wouldn't have let him spend so much money on a vacation when we could have used the money wisely and maybe even got the business out of the mess it was in. If not totally, we would have made good progress in the right direction. I decided that if my husband wasn't handling it well, I would have to take charge and make sure everything worked. I'll manage him and manage the house. I work a 9 to 5 and have a side business, so we would be good. I was a little hurt that he didn't confide in me and he went ahead to sell our things without telling me. I thought that was out of line, and when I expressed myself to him, he agreed and apologized. He admitted that he wasn't really reasoning, and we made a pact not to hide anything from each other again, no matter how bad it got. I love him, and nothing was going to change it, not even wrong business decisions, because they were not a direct reflection of him. Maybe his state of mind, but not him. NTA. We would have a big problem if my husband sells anything in the house without telling me first. He can't do that and then starts to cry.
Next story.
I, 23, female, blocked my mother for taking a gift that my boyfriend gave to me for my birthday. I spent my birthday, April 13th, with my boyfriend a couple of days ago, and one of the gifts included a ceramic cupcake. About a month ago, we were sharing stories about our childhood when I mentioned a particular story that I didn't realize still bothered me. Long time ago, I went to a pottery shop where I painted a pre-made ceramic cupcake at my friend's birthday party. I chose the cupcake because you can store small things, for example, jewelry, in it. I worked really hard to paint it and it looked really nice. It looked so nice that my mom wanted it for herself. So we played a game of cards. If my mom won, she got to keep the cupcake. If I won, I got McDonald's. Unfortunately, I lost. A year later, I talked to my mom about how I wished I didn't bet the cupcake, and she offered to play another round of cards. In the end, I won, but she refused to give the cupcake back. This resulted in an argument, but with me being a child, I couldn't really do anything about it. Fast forward to a month ago. I brought this up to my boyfriend while joking around. However, he said I seemed really passionate about it when I was explaining it, so he tried to find something that matched my description and considered that he's never seen it. I would say he was pretty spot on. I really appreciated the gift because it showed how attentive and caring my boyfriend was. As such, I kept the cupcake on my desk so that when I'm studying for my final exams, I could look at it and be reminded of positive thoughts only. My mom came today, April 16th, to celebrate my belated birthday. When she entered my room, her eyes immediately went to the cupcake on my desk. So I explained to her the story behind it. She laughed and said, "Wouldn't it look nice if I had both?" I laughed with her, but deep down I was annoyed. Throughout the night, she kept making side comments about the cupcake, but I mostly brushed them off. When she finally left my place, I entered my room to see that the cupcake was missing. I called her repeatedly until she finally picked up. At first, she said she didn't know where it was before finally admitting that she put it in her purse. She claimed that she wanted to take a picture of the two cupcakes together. I was so upset that I immediately hung up. My mom lives about 2 hours away, and it would be hard to get there without a car. This made me feel teary-eyed, and eventually I started crying. Between this and final exams, I felt very overwhelmed. I sent her a text message basically saying how upset I was, and she apologized, but I was still upset. I told her, "Don't call or text me. Send me an email if it's an emergency," and blocked her phone number. However, after thinking about it, I'm starting to feel bad. Am I just overreacting? AITA? I didn't really expect this to blow up. The incident with the original cupcake happened when I was in grade 5, so I was either 10 or 11. Calling the cops is not an option. She pays a good chunk of my university expenses, and her job requires her to have a clean record. The last thing I would want is for her to get fired. TW. My mother does have a history of mental health issues. She was diagnosed with depression and bipolar 2 disorder in 2015. I won't go into details, but I feel like permanently going NC with my mom might cause her to spiral again. This is partially why I feel like an AH, because I know how much my mom depends on me for emotional support. The cupcake isn't an isolated incident, but it's been years since I've had any major issues with my mom. I wish I could share all the stories I have with her, but then this would turn into a novel, and I'm sure the MODs wouldn't be too happy with that. I will keep you guys updated if I get the cupcake. For now, I'm just going to focus on my final exams. NTA. If she doesn't give them back, yes, both. Take them back next time you visit her. It's not stealing if you're taking your things back. She'll be mad, but you can just tell her you were following her example of a good mother. Just be prepared for the fallout. If she's narcissistic, which sounds like she is, she will argue that the two events are not the same.
Next story.
My wife and I had our first baby 10 months ago. So this is her first Mother's Day as a mom. We talked about expectations, and she said that she wants the actual day to be about her from now on, because our moms both had plenty of Mother's Days and our nuclear family takes priority. For some background, Mother's Day usually consists of splitting the day between the two families. My mom picks what she wants for the day, and sometimes it isn't even kid friendly. This is her second grandchild. My sister, who is a mom, does some stuff in the morning with her family, but then everything else is about my mom. Also, my mom and wife really don't like each other. My mom doesn't act on it, but they've never liked each other, and I can see them both physically cringing when they are together. I can get that. I was a little nervous about how both of our families would react. My mother in law is having a hard time with it, but she said she agrees. My mother in law picked another date for us to celebrate her, though it was all good. I told my mom, and she said it was fine, but my stepdad was making comments under his breath. I asked my mom which alternative dates she wanted, and she said she doesn't celebrate things on other days and I can do whatever I want. But if I don't come to the family thing, she isn't going to have a fake Mother's Day just for us. I tried explaining that it would still be a celebration and we want to do something for her. My mom said it was fine and she didn't want to. Then my youngest sister walked in and my stepdad was like, "Do you know what this a-hole is doing?" My sister began yelling at me, so I was blunt that my wife takes priority now and I refused to. 1. Make her uncomfortable. 2. Spend Mother's Day at a winery when kids can't drink. My mom told us all to shut up and went into the kitchen. I followed her and asked if she was hurt, and she said no, but she doesn't like to open up. I explained that we wanted to do something, so please pick another day, and she said she had already said no and leave her alone. I knew my wife was going to take that badly, so honestly, I lost my temper a bit and screamed at her that she is acting like a 2-year-old. She's always selfish, picking stuff that inconveniences the actual kids, and she doesn't even deserve much because she is a lame grandmother. Never visits, never helps. I did apologize right after, but she was just like, okay, and rolled her eyes. I feel like everyone is kind of being shitty here. Everyone is an adult here. There are multiple generations of mothers and multiple sides of mothers. Unsure why all can't be celebrated at once?